Gordie Howe, what was your greatest sports thrill?
Well, Harry, I'd have to say it was a combination of many things. Actually, the first one I would have to put ahead of the other two would be the 5th year in the league. I won the scoring race. I also placed on the first All-Star Club and won the Most Valuable Player Award. That was a great thrill to me. The second, I would say, was our second Stanley Cup. The first one, I was unable to play due to the head injury which I had. But the second one, I was in the lineup all the way, and that was a great thrill. And the third, I might add, was the first game I ever played. And I scored a goal in the second period against Turk Broda of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And undoubtedly, that was the greatest thrill because of all my years out in Western Canada, all I heard was Turk Broda this, Turk Broda that, because they broadcast the Toronto games out to Western Canada. So scoring against Turk Broda, I would definitely say, was one of my greater thrills.
As a top hockey player yourself, Gordie, who would you rate as the 3 best players you've ever seen or played against?
Harry, that'd be a pretty tough question, but I'd have to go along with Mel Schmidt and also Rocket Richard. And I've always said that we never mention our own players in this lineup, but now that Ted Lindsay is over with the Chicago Blackhawks, I'd have to pick Ted, too.
Gordie, how much weight and equipment does a hockey player carry on him, including skates?
Well, I'd say among the forwards, it just depends on your size, but an average forward weighing about 170 would wear roughly anywhere from 23 to 25 pounds of equipment. On the other hand, your goaltenders, who are heavily padded, will go anywhere around 30 to 35 pounds. Our defensemen, also, who are the bigger members of the club, they wear a little heavier padding around the shoulders, which permits them to do all a heavy body check, and therefore, being bigger and a little heavier equipped, I'd say they go close to 30 pounds.
I've heard it said that a hockey puck at times travels close to 100 miles per hour. How do you get this tremendous speed in your shots?
I'd definitely say it travels over 100, I would say, because of the simple fact that while playing in Omaha, a young fellow by the name of George Homanuk was put through a test, and he was out shooting the puck for over a half hour, and he finally got the puck into the given measurement, and that puck at the time after a half hour shooting, and he was tired and he had to control it, he got up in around 90 miles per hour. So I'd say an individual such as Gene Beliveau of Montreal Canadiens, when going with the puck towards the net, can get that shot away with accurate timing and get it close to the heel of the stick, such as you would in golf. He'd put that thing well up over 100. I do believe that.
Gordie, would you tell us about the incident in a playoff game several years ago that resulted in a serious injury to you and almost ended your hockey career?
Well, Harry, I'd have to say I'm a little in the dark on this subject for the simple reason that it was a playoff game. It was against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and it was the first game of the series. And I was come down checking Teeter Kennedy at the time, and he was going, I'd say, down the left boards. Being a right winger, I had to check him. That's my position. So as I was catching up to him and coming along the boards, all I remember is he making a pass into center ice, and being a right hand, that stick come around, and that's about the last I remember. I saw the stick coming up close to the head, and trying to get out of the way, I guess I didn't because I went down, and the last thing I remembered was that, but the first thing I do remember when I come through was they're shaving the head, and I haven't got that much hair on my head, believe me, Harry, and it worried me quite a bit.
Gordie, did hockey players at one time have a clause in their contracts that paid them so much money for stitches when they needed patching up?
That's right, Harry, but actually only lasted 2 years for good reason, too. The first year they were paying 10 cents a stitch, and the company at the time were losing a lot of money. And the second year they thought they'd change the program a little and give 5 or 10 cents a cut, which required a stitch. And they're losing, so they give it up after 2 years.
Gordie, what's the funniest thing that ever happened to you on the ice?
Funniest thing, Harry, actually, I was embarrassed more than hurt. And that was, I'd lost a couple of front teeth in the first year. Nobody knew I was wearing false teeth. And a game against New York Rangers in Detroit with an old goaltender and a beloved one around the New York area, Charlie Rayner. He was in the nets at the time. I cut across in front of the net, tried to get a backhand away. In doing so, a defenseman flicked me under the jaw with a stick. That permitted the teeth to run free. They went to the ice, and I dove at him, believe me, and I cupped him in my hand, and I held my mouth, more or less, as I put him back in place. The referee and Charlie Rayner come over and asked me if I was hurt, and I said, not really. I said, I'm just teeth hunting at the time.
Thank you very much, Gordie Howe, the Detroit Red Wings, one of hockey's outstanding players.